Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Alon.
Welcome Armand. Bonjour, ça va?
Ça va très bien. How are you doing? Guten Morgen. This is pretty much the only thing I can say in Dutch.
Thank you very much. Welcome, dear Armand Billard, the founder of Sartory Billard, a brand that we proudly announced last week to become retail partners for exclusively in the Netherlands. So thank you, Armand. I'm very proud.
Absolutely.
Um, you are a one-man show, soon expanding due to the huge amount. So the watches are coming. As soon as they come into Amsterdam, we'll post it obviously on all our media channels and our Ace VIP community. We have some appointments booked with collectors that are eager to see your amazing watches. Um, while I was researching you, I discovered that we are literally connected by the Rhine River because you live in Morcel,
Yes.
so on the border of Germany and Luxembourg, so not far from here.
Yeah, not far from me. Like 4 hours driving, I guess. 4 5 hours driving. Like it's Moselle is close to Luxembourg for the European viewers. It's pretty much in the yeah economic center of Europe between France, Germany, Luxembourg, Swiss. It's a very nice place to live, and it's really green actually.
Amazing. So when we do an event, I'll challenge you to come down with the river cruise all the way from the Moselle River, the Rhine, to come to Amsterdam.
Start a few days earlier.
So I'm very excited for this show because we actually don't know each other that well. So this is very much fun for me. We've got a lot of questions from viewers that couldn't join in real time. But before we start with any questions, the first question always is a tradition on the show: a wrist check. What are you wearing this morning, Alma?
So I'm wearing an SB04E as usually. I'm wearing all the watches that I make, and I crash test them in a way. I'm probably the most brutal owner you can find with the watches. So it's an SB04 with aventurine dial, because this is the stone that I'm prefer probably the most. It goes with everything you see today. I'm wearing blue. I'm usually very casual dressed, so it blends in and it goes like with daily outfit, meetings, my gardening outfit, even like if I very layback dressed. So it's perfectly fit. It's an open case bag, so this is the view on the La Jouperet movement, and you see that the strap is actually a prototype of the integrated rubber that will come out of production in July. So this is one of the first prototype. It's very well integrated into the case with little logos engraved on the back. The very, I would say, even iconic buckle of Sartory Billard that takes my logo. So this is my daily. I'm super happy about this watch. There is a lot of design details that I'm very happy with. And actually, the last week I was talking about this watch, and one customer said, "Oh, why did you make a concave bezel? So the bezel is a little bit like inward curve shape." And I said, "This is based on my personal experience because, as I said, I'm extremely brutal with my watches." Because I'm lucky enough to know the watchmaker, so if there is any problem, I can go on the bench and fix it. But I'm doing gardening. I have like a very big garden with trees that I have to maintain a lot. So it's the watch can be very, very badly scratched because I never quit the watch. And I realized I don't know, a couple of years ago when I did the first watch with a concave bezel, that you don't scratch your watches as much if the bezel is concave. Between the two edges on the outside of the bezel, protect all the inside polished part from any scratch. So I'm super happy that this watch has been like extremely worn for the last 18 months and basically is fresh as new. So this is like these little points that I can only check after like months of yeah, very honest and very brutal wear.
Is that a reason why you also make cases besides stainless steel and titanium and tantalum?
Yes, I like the watch to be worn, A watch in the safe, it can have its place if you have a collection that you need to rotate, something like this. But you need to wear the watches, and you need to wear them without being afraid to have the life just go over your watch. And so like this material, titanium, steel, and tantalum are extremely hard. I really love the shade of them, and yeah, it helps keep the watch very, very nice over a very long period of time.
So me myself, I'm crazy about tantalum and titanium. So my first Sartory Billard that's being still produced is actually the SB4E with the tantalum diamond that we see here on the site. Since I don't have it yet, I racked my brain, what should I wear today? And since you are a designer, yeah, that's it. Beautiful. Since you are a designer, I said, you know what? I'll wear a watch by my dear friend that's also a great designer, Sylvain Berneron. So I put on my
Oh,
Berneron
nice.
today because we're going to talk a lot about customization and design and philosophize about that. So that's what I strapped on until my personal Sartory Billard watch arrives. Um, our esteemed viewer Rocky tuned in via YouTube and writes, "Good morning."
Good
He's a
morning.
record holder. Up until few episodes, he's joined every single one. This is the 65th episode. So I think he missed only two or three. Thank you, Rocky, for tuning in. Our dear viewers that are new to the Ace List Live, please send in any question you have, and we will answer them in this live episodes. Alma, the
Yes.
tradition is to answer 7 standard Ace List questions. First one for you. What watch or jewel is your favorite and why?
Oh, it's easy to answer. Cartier.
Yeah.
Uh, more than a jewel, I would say a brand. So I strongly believe that you make a connection with a brand or with a product if you have a personal attachment for this. So the very first nice watches that I bought, I don't know, that was 21 years ago, that was 2004, was the Santos 100 re-edition from Cartier. This is actually the watch that triggered everything. And why Cartier? Because I come from a um, I, I would say like modest or slash bourgeois. You can call it like average working class French family, and my father would buy Cartier jewelry for my mom for every 10th birthday anniversary. This kind of thing. So Cartier always resonated with me for big moments in life. You're getting married for 20 years, 30 years, or whatever. And so Cartier was there because also her father was having like a Cartier ring. He had one that he passed down to my mother. And so when I got my first watch, Cartier was something that resonated me very directly. And actually, I'm turning 50 this year, and my parents like said, oh, what would you like as a family gift? Like, you gather, it's a tradition, you gather all the family and you go for one present. And it I never really did think about this, but when it come to this, I said, look, I would like to have like a Cartier man love bracelet that will be signed by the family. And you see, it's always so. I
So
guess
it's
it's
a tradition.
yeah, it is a tradition, and this will be definitely something that I will pass to my daughters, and I know that my mother also will pass her jewelry to my sisters and everything. You don't know really why you build this strong association or feeling with Cartier. I even can remember today the name of the salesperson that sold me my Cartier watch 21 years ago. She was Madame Rondeau. I mean, this is really strong.
To use that as segue, what did you learn from those experiences and these feelings? And how did you implement them into your brand, Sartory Billard?
To have a very personal connection with the customer.
Uh-huh.
As I said, I'm remembering today the name of the salesperson of Cartier. My shirts, there are a Parisian shirt company that is called Figare.
Mhm.
and I buy them in Paris in a shop that is close to La Madeleine. And my dad was buying his shirts for decades there, always business shirts, And I'm going there, and the sales person opened me. This is a story that is 15 years old, and he's opening the door. I'm presenting myself. Hello, I'm the son of Mr. Patrick Billard. I'm coming. I would like to buy some shirts on the recommendation of my dad for business. So I'm having I'm buying like, I don't know, 3, 4 shirts back home. Coming back 6 months after in the shop, I will remember all my life. I'm entering the shop. The same sales guy is there. He's opening. Is welcoming me. Said, "Hello, welcome back, Mr. Armand Billard." It's just like, how can he do this? How can he like remember me? Like, and I was hooked. I am always buying my shirt at Figueres. So it's incredible. This guy was just like, my jaw dropped. Like, how can you? So I'm trying this. It's very difficult with my customers, but I'm trying to, you know, remember something from my customer. Apart from his name, I don't know, his business, his place we live. Like, he told me about a day that he was doing this or that or whatever. And actually, it's beneficial for both sides of the business. Beneficial for the customer first, because is not just a number in an ordering document, but it is a customer with a valued appreciation, a personality, something that it links to me. And also me, it's helping me to remember time spent with the customer, and the relation, and what he was expressing or what he wants. So I'm probably not as incredibly gifted at this salesman at Figueres, but I'm trying my very, very best.
Amazing. And we'll come to that later. Um, I guess that's also one of the reasons you are maybe the only brand that's built around customization, personalization. By coincidence, Rocky is now writing a question that will deal with it later. So he talks about customization. We got a question about that as well.
Yeah.
So very interesting. Second question for you, Alma. What did you want to be when you grew up?
So I remember when I was a kid, I first wanted to be a cook because I like food very much. I'm French, kind of a stereotype. Like, then, after probably like 75% of the kids, I wanted to be a veterinarian because, being some part of my life in the countryside, you love animals, so it's something easy to grab on. But like, quite quickly when I was as a teenager, because I was drawing all the time, like all the time. I would have my class book, so you opening from left to right, so you would have the school notes, on this page,
Mhm.
but I would take the book on the other side and turn it backwards and drawing, and usually the book would meet like way past half, because I would have less school documents and much more drawings, and so I found out when I was 16, actually, or 15, that a new work was entering the field, which was called designer. That was a very good link between an artistic vision and the engineering. My dad, being an engineer, he understood that this was a job that made absolute sense. And when I was 15, my dad pulled a couple of strings with friend of him that was working at Renault, the car manufacturer. And when you're 15 in France, you need to do a 1 week trainee
Mhm.
in a company.
Yeah.
And I've been doing 1 week at Renault in the motor design division for the trucks and things like this. That was and the boss at the time was Piero Stroppa, flamboyant Italian. And I discovered what was design, and I said, okay, this has to be my life. So I went to a design school after my baccalaureate, bachelor, like something like an abitur. This is something that validates your study when you're 18, and did 4 or 5 years learning design. And when I was 24, that was in 1999, I started business a designer as I planned 10 years ago, 10 years before. I mean.
Amazing. And we'll get to that because this is the 10th anniversary for the brand Sartory Billard, and you've been designer 15 years before that. So we'll definitely get to that in a bit. Thank you for sharing this journey. Third question. Who was or is your role model or models?
Oof, that is a very I don't know. I honestly there are some people that are creative genius, or people that are marked their time being for what they accomplished or did, like sportsmen, engineers, creative persons, something. But I do not have um, persons in mind that have to walk into these steps, because not to being arrogant, but I believe I will make my own path. So I respect some very much some creative geniuses, and usually the people that have been working very very hard and achieve something that was not planned at the beginning. But that can be like, I can have like 3 days ago I had here a customer that came, is a baker, yeah, bakery owner in my village, or sort of. And the guy is an immigrant from Italian family. And today he's 62, he told me, and he has around like 10 bakeries around. I mean, that's just like, I could have this guy as an example. You coming
Mm.
from immigration, you just basically have pretty much nothing when you emigrate, when you are in your 20s. 40 years far forward, you have 10 bakeries, you're restoring Italian cars, and you want to buy yourself a very very nice watch. I mean, this is what a great example.
Yeah, amazing. If I had to twist your arm, please give me one designer that inspired you coming up, one watch brand watchmaker besides Cartier.
uh designer, I would make a twist between Italian guy Ettore Sottsass and maybe Mark Newson. Two
Mhm,
styles completely different.
mhm,
And maybe in architecture, Zaha Hadid,
mhm.
which I found like what she created was just like out of this world. So even if it's not product, I I, I would probably like everything that she made was, I mean, not everything, but some were absolutely jaw dropping. Um, and designer in the watchmaking without any hesitation, the Betune.
Mm.
I mean, absolutely in awe, in love with the work of the Betune. It started it all with me, because I discovered the titanium polished dial, and I put myself on a track, and I actually succeed to make like polished titanium dial. And even today, I'm quite pleased to say that there are only two brands that are able to make polished titanium dials. The Between, that is there on level, and me, that is there. But there is not a third one, because it seems that we are absolutely mental and crazy to do so. And I can confirm it's the most difficult things that I've done on a craftsman point of view, craftsmanship point of view. So the Betune, yeah, absolutely. There are many other brands that I find incredible, but the Betune is just like that. There is a design language that is absolutely unique. There are founders that are very, very nice to talk with. Um, the duo between the founders works perfectly. The range is incredibly beautiful and well structured. Uh, yeah, I can't think of higher opinion of the.
I am very happy I pushed you to answer this question because now I understand your logo. Please show the buckle again
Yes.
of your watch because that you incorporate the company logo that you see in the shared screen in the left top hand corner, and you can see it here because there I see you like fluidity and rounded edges like Newson, Hadid,
Yeah.
and I'm very happy that I pushed the envelope. Did you meet Dennis Flejolet of Debutut?
Yeah. he doesn't know who I am. I met him maybe a couple of times. The last time he was having lunch in a restaurant, so I didn't really. I just salute politely. Um, he, is Denis Flageolet is not really often in all the events. I would say it's more the I'm forgetting his name. I should be ashamed of myself, but the business partner.
Mhm.
Um, but I would love to have a talk with him. I said to him that I would love to see how they work on titanium. Not to take ideas because I think I wouldn't be able, but just to confront ideas and confront my process. Because when I'm looking at my watches and the polished titanium that I did, they are nice, and I had very good reviews and comments, and I know how they can be and how nice I could push this. But when I have a between watch, it's just like I'm really considering how are they making this. So they have more skilled people. I don't put me on top of the list of skilled people in the watchmaking. I have zero formal training in watchmaking. I can design a lot of things. I can make a lot of things. I can improvise a lot of finishings and stuff. But there are watchmakers that are much better than me, and if they have to work only on polishing of titanium, and probably they also have some different gears and tools that I have, and much more experience. But I believe that I'm probably the one person that can look at the watches with the real knowledge of what it means to achieve this kind of level of finishing. I I am 100% sure that there is not 99% of the customers that know the difficulty of what they are doing with titanium.
So hereby invite you, part two, second time you come back, we do a master class on titanium.
Master
Fourth question.
of trying to do stuff and then to have like very bizarre processes and acceptable result. It's a you don't I can trust like a little bit like so this is a crowded place that is my workshop and it's very much not improvised, but it's very much most of the processes are in my head. I have few books with little recipes, but most of the time it's like who or I'm going to make. I've shown you like just before we started that I'm working on a watch with a cigar maker. So he sent me some leaves. Um, and saying, "Oh, first you have to rehydrate the leaves of tobacco, and then you can make." And you're just like, "How am I? How am I supposed to make a tile out of tobacco leaf?" But I think I'm good. Like it took me 3 times, 3 trials to have a quality that could be good for production, because I do have now a very good generic feeling of okay, I have to make this with this kind of material. The end goal is that. So probably the process should be this and this and this. It's the best way I can put it to clarity is like if you're a very good trained cook. I'm a very lousy cook. I can feed my family and feed the kids and like a dad. You need to have maybe 5 recipes that you can play around and feed your kids with, and that's fine. But I guess that when you're a very very good cook, you open the fridge, some ingredients are there, some are absolutely missing, some could be maybe replaced by that, and you will go like tack 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 and make like a recipe that will taste very very good for the poor or the limited elements that you have, the small time that you have, and the environment in which you are cooking in. So I'm pretty much myself considering like this.
I am quite sure you're being modest because I think you're an alchemist, but we'll get to that later. Now, I want you to be a time traveler. If you could teleport tomorrow, where would you go?
Place and time or only place?
You can choose.
Okay. Oh, that's time anyway in the future, because I don't
Okay.
really care about the past. I'm very bad about, like, I'm having very very poor memory of the past. What is done has been done. I shouldn't look at it too much. So that will be for absolutely future. And place in the world. I was fortunate enough to visit more than 60 countries in my life. I did a world tour when I was 30 for 2 years with a backpack. So I would probably go either to Mongolia or to Argentina. Yeah,
Amazing.
probably. They
Amazing.
are very different. They are very much on the opposite side, north hemisphere, more west side, and south west, so northeast, southwest. But in both countries, I have very very strong memories. I have incredible landscape. I'm looking here because I have like this big map here with some, pins and dots and string where I was traveling and going, and other pins for where I do have customers. And I do have one customer in Ulaanbaatar, the capital of Mongolia, which is probably a little bit unusual. So let's say I would go to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia and start from
Amazing.
there.
Amazing. Interesting to know to hear because a lot of people travel back in time. And it's interesting you said you're going forward in time
Oh, yeah.
because that says a lot about you as an entrepreneur, an artist, and a watchmaker because you're pushing the envelope of the watchmaking industry into the future. You're
I
not so much hindered by the past.
No, absolutely not. I had one sentence. Sometimes you have like, so I was having a dinner with my family and we were talking about souvenirs and stuff like this. And I said like, and so my sister that has a very great memory, "Oh, you remember when we were 8 years old?" It's like, what? And I said like, I have such a bad memory that I only remember tomorrow. And
It's
yeah,
funny though, you don't have a bad memory because you remember names of people. So you're a people's guy.
the one that marked me, yes. But if you're talking a random weekend or holiday, something like this, I would forget. I need strong point so I can hook on them. And yes, my best friend has an holistic memory.
Mm.
This kind of guy say, "Oh, well, we were 20 years old. We are driving from here to here, and you said that, and we were listening this on the radio." It's like, Francois, your brain is going to explode one day. Where do you store that? Why for? I mean, and why? But it works like this.
Yeah, interesting. Talking of making impressions, what book are you currently reading and or a book that recently made an impression on you?
I'm currently reading the autobiography of Thomas Pesquet, which is a French astronaut.
Mhm.
And it's very interesting because the guy is one of a million. Um, Brilliant at school, brilliant in what he does as a first. No, Thomas Pesquet, Pesquet, Thomas
Mhm.
Pesquet,
Okay.
astronaut. Um, and yeah, this kind of guy who is brilliant, like his first like commercial flight pilot, and then out of a little bit of a challenge gets for being an astronaut and ends up being a French astronaut that we didn't have for I guess 30 years, something like this, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken. And he just wrote a book that is My Life Without Gravity. There is a little bit of play of word because of course you have like the gravity, the force that took you on Earth, but you don't have when you're in space, but also gravity in a way that your life can or cannot be too serious. So it's a very good book. I really like actually autobiography because you can discover the life from uh, different person and different angles, different perspective.
Very cool. Since you made so many customized versions that
Yes.
are available on your site, which I love to sit and just look at and discover. I guess it's a rhetorical question. You probably made watches with meteorite dials?
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
I even made a watch with meteorite dial and a piece of foil from Apollo 13.
amazing. Yeah, okay, all right. We'll get to that. I mean, that was almost a rhetorical question. Um, Going to customization, this is also less relevant for you because you only recently started with a collection of standard editions that we will have in stock at Ace Jewelers. But up until 1 or 2 years, you only made bespoke watches. So I guess color is less relevant for you up until 1 or 2 years ago. Now that you've been not forced, but you've decided to go the journey of making a standard core range,
Mhm.
how important are colors to you? And what do you think trends are for the coming 12 to 18 months?
Um, I'm not very good on this, but there is this tendency. Uh, Company, I sent you the link, called Nelly
Mhm,
Rodi, and I
mhm,
think that I'm pretty sure that one of their job is to guide the fashion and all the industry in the color trends.
mhm.
And every year they release what is supposed to be the color of the year. So I'm not sure it was purple or something like this. It's a very very good. I'm not sure that it displays so much in their website what is going to be, but if you're working in the fashion industry, um, yeah, something that is related to fashion, you usually work with this company because they're selling these trend books. That so you're buying in the year N, the book of the year N plus one, spring, summer, autumn, winter, and then you because everyone will buy this book and work with these guys that they're consulting on the color, and they have all these trendsetter. Oh, I mean, their job is really really nice. I know the boss, so I know all the work behind this. They have people all around the world looking for micro signals, subcultures, and things like this, and say, oh, there is like this very advanced group of people on trends that they are pushing this and this and this. The time it infuses in the society and goes to the global market, it will be maybe taking 6 months, 1 2 years, and then this trend that we just sniffed today, spring 25, will be major in summer 27, for example. So so I don't have I'm not really answering your question actually. I don't have the knowledge about like what is the color this year, but these guys they definitely know what will be the color next year and the year after.
So you said you know the people.
Yeah.
Do you actually buy the books and do you study these trends or are you oblivious to these things?
I I I did in my previous life because I would work with my design agency, work with Nelly Rodi. So we would confront and confirm choices with customers saying we are developing your product, blah blah. And in 2 years the trend, the color will be that. So we should maybe envision this kind of color or this. I do not work with it today because I have the ability of being so quick in releasing products that if today you're saying to me, I don't know, in Netherlands for September there is this color that will be perfect because there is this big event or blah blah blah, and that will be, I don't know, um, smash strawberry color.
Mhm.
I can make today watches that will match this color with a time frame that is so quick that I don't have to work 2 years in advance. So I'm it's an advantage for me. So I've seen, but I seen micro signal like very very quick. So you would have like there were like at the beginning of the year like a big rush of purple watches. Of I've seen this in my small world, and but it can change very very quickly. And I think it's more of a chance to be adapted like extremely fast, extremely quickly to a request, especially when you're doing bespoke watches.
Yeah, amazing. I just had a question pop into my mind while I'm listening to you. Have you ever rejected a design,
Yes,
color or design, or when people put in a request for customization?
yes. I've been the only one that I have been rejected was for IP reasons. I actually rejected a little bit more than this. So the design that I will reject all the time is that somebody is coming with a watch from a different brand and say, "Oh, can you make this exactly the same because I want this, but I cannot afford this." I'm not a copycat. So if you want something with Sartory Billard, you want it for the good reason. You don't want to pretend that you can buy, I don't know, a Patek, or de Béthune, or Breguet, or whatever, and or a mother. Mother is like people going, "Oh, can you make exactly the same as the mother with the same hands?" And it's like, no way. I mean, I respect too much their work. Like, if you want a mother, just, I mean, afford to buy one, or, I mean, don't get one. So this one I will turn down very, very quickly. And the only real one that I said like I'm going to decline was a collector that wanted on the 12 indices the 12 symbols from the spaceship from Star Wars. And
Mm.
even if I really like the idea, um, a friend of mine working in the law things and IP says like you should decline because I know it's a one-off piece, but if it goes under the wrong eyes, doing something with some IP belonging to Disney or something, this is probably not the cleverest idea you can have. So I said to the customer, unfortunately, I have to decline this idea, despite I
And and that's IP, so that's rational. Now,
yeah.
taking to the emotional side of things, was there a style compass or that you find personally ugly, which is obviously the truth is in the eye of the beholder, it's subjective.
Yeah.
Or was there something that wasn't beautiful enough to link to South Arabia that you rejected?
No, and for a very good reason is that I don't hold the patent on the good taste. And I'm going to give you two examples. And this is maybe also because I've been traveling so much. As I said, like I've been fortunate enough to visit 60 countries, and when you visit 60 countries, you see 60 different culture, you see I don't know how many religions, you see behaviors, you see everything. And there is one moment you say, okay, in France and or in Europe, we don't have the lead of things. Like everybody is living all the way they have, and everybody likes the color combination that they do love. And when you go in Asia, Indonesia, Malaysia, and for example Thailand, even more, the color combination are very, very striking and very surprising and unexpected for the European eyes, but they do make a lot of sense for for Thai people, for example, if we talk about them, for the cultural meanings and things like this. And so that was the first answer of the question. And the second one is that one day I made a color for a blind person. Um, I made a watch for a color blind person that had a retina problem that made him perceive the colors in a completely different way. And I can't remember, that was melange of orange and things like this. That was very, very early days of Sartori Bia. But I made a watch that was not, in my retina sense, good looking, but for this person that was colorblind, perfectly fine, even more perfectly good to read with all the contrast and all the things that he needed. So I said, like, everything makes sense.
Interesting. And actually very rare to hear a designer and brand owner being so liberal, if I may say.
Yeah.
A second question. If one has been made that we're looking at this page now, will it never be made again?
But they pretty much like the one Aventurine on top, because Aventurine dies. I've been doing like a handful of them. This is the one on the left. on top of the left. That was the one
Sorry.
for Thailand. I don't know. We can come back there.
Oh,
It doesn't
yeah.
work. Anyway, it's most of them, like 99% of the watches that you see here are pièce unique. Like some designs are able to be repeated, like if you want an aventurine dial with some Breguet numerals or whatever, because it's very, I would say, generic. But if you're making a watch with a very, very specific color combination or guilloche or something, it's a pièce unique by default. And if one day a customer says, I would like to have exactly the same, I will have two processes. The first question is that, okay, I understand that you like this color combination of this guilloche or the scheme with the stone. Would you like to modify it a little bit so it's more personal? Usually 99% of the time, the person says, oh, yes, can I choose? So I would tweak like this bright green for more turquoise green. And then we have another piece. But it also happened like a handful of times that person, no, I want exactly this one because this is perfectly designed. And I say, okay, I'm going to ask to the previous owner, I mean the main owner, if he accepts that I'm making a watch for a new customer with the same design, and I will ask and wait for the validation before I give you an answer. And so far, all the customers have been very, very nice, and usually we're very happy that their own design could inspire a second one. So it has been granted, but it's very, very rare that I've been making doubles.
But now that you've been producing watches for a decade,
Yeah.
you can't remember it all. Do you work with a data bank where you cross-reference new requests with your backlog to make sure you've never made it? Or do you remember what you made up until now?
I do have a very, very good visual memory. Sometimes the more difficult is to find, okay, everything is on my hard drive. I have the number of the order with the name of the customer and then images inside. But it doesn't really help me to say, oh, I'm looking for a watch with a yellow guilloche surrounded by black meteorite. If I ever did one. So I have to find again who was the customer that ordered this one. But on the general note, I have very, very good memory of all the watches that I've been doing. So after I can find them again. So, but like with all the elements that you can compose and change the watch inside, I've been doing probably 1,000 of bespoke watches. But if you say that I have 2 dials per watch or 3, if it's the small second, then you multiply it by the number of case reference, steel, titanium, tantalum, then you multiply it by the hand possibility, then by the index design possibility. The numbers is in tens of thousands. So even when 1,000 watches made entirely bespoke, I'm very on the low start of all the possible range. It's just
because your capacity is below 200 a year, isn't it?
Yeah, something like this.
Yeah. One question that we've got, and I had to double check myself, is somebody asked, will you make a gold case? I saw a gold case, but they're plated, right? You never made a precious metal case.
Actually, I'm having the first SB05 delivered in later this year in gold. I had 2 orders, I think, and one in white gold. So extremely rare. It's only okay, I would say, on the price point of view on the SB05 or the SB06 tourbillon, because the watches are expensive enough, I would say, to talk to the customer and say, if you want a gold case, this will add probably, I don't know, 10K or something like this, if not more. For the SB04E, I've been doing a few of them in plated, because if you need like a golden watch for a wedding or for a special occasion, because these are the ones that pop in my head, for 300 or 400 euro more, you can have a rose gold or yellow gold plated watch, and then that's really stunning.
Interesting. See, I learned stuff through our own dear customers. I'm deviating a bit. I'm sorry. Last question. Dear Armand, have you been to Amsterdam before? And if so, what's your favorite memory?
Yes, we were as a family. Was it? I think that was last October. I think, yeah. Um, that's super nice city. I really enjoyed like the walk into the city, because like I was really surprised that it's very very silent, because you basically have no cars. I mean, very 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 few cars inside Amsterdam. So super peaceful. And favorite memory, we as many tourists, we bought a lot of flower bulbs on the little shops close to the river. Yes, that was a very nice stroll. We spent a weekend there. That was, yeah, very very nice.
Amazing. And hopefully the next visit will be when you come to Amsterdam to
Yes,
meet
definitely.
to meet the collectors, the Dutch collectors. So you'll see they're also super relaxed and lovely, like the Amsterdam city
Yeah,
of.
yeah, it's a very
Um,
very nice city. Yeah, relax is very what you can say. It's peaceful and relaxed. I remember the peace of not having much noise of cars and motorbikes, and like in Paris, it's much much more peaceful.
yeah, amazing. So you technically worked 9 out of 10 years without retailers.
Yes, I just started with you now retailing. I mean, not like this year, like 2025 is the first year with retailers. Why? Because I've been asked a lot by retailers for the last, I would say, 3 4 years, but I didn't find a good formula. I offered them, oh yes, let's do bespoke only, and but we wouldn't make sales, because like to have only a card of a brand and not having a watch to sell and saying, oh yes, but it's only bespoke, is extremely difficult. And I can understand that the work of a retailer is also on his efficiency of supporting the brands, selling the watches, to have the business to run. And it's very very daily operational. um, and then I talked with a couple of retailers, say like, should I come with regular models? Say yes, of course, that would be the most easy way to start with you. And so I created last year the SB04E. That was very good, because that was the revamp of the very famous, or the most sold reference in my range, that is the SB04,
Mhm.
with a better case design, better water resistance, a product that is less prototypey, I would say, and much more industrialized. Um, and also, I embedded into the watch everything that I could do very good on the design. It means like the sapphire plate on which the indices are set, um, offering me the possibility to have very very different material underneath. And then I started to say, okay, I'm going to start with tantalum dial instead of titanium, a little bit of the opposite direction that what I've been doing before, and it's a very cool watch. Then I added some stone, a very vibrant chrysocolle that is a lagoon color stone, and then the ruby, and more different stone will follow Petersite and others, like among the next months, with probably like 2 3 release per year, with models that are generically designed for the retailers. I'm working with now on integrated rubber bracelet, integrated metal bracelets, with this. Yeah,
One
to
sec, please show that again. Sorry. Again, I'll zoom in on you. Amazing.
so this is a deployant metal bracelet that will go onto the SB04E. That was something that was lacking on the SB04. There were not the possibility to put a metal bracelet. So, trying to improve like every yeah, every watch, every project, every release after other release, because retailers are doing very good with this range. It's also much more understandable for a customer that don't know the brand or want to start with Sartory Billard, to get a watch that is readily available with my um, design signature and all the things that I can put into the watch, and also then envision for the second piece something that will be more personal, understanding that the brand can do bespoke. So it's putting um, the necessary steps between having a model, seeing it, buying it, wearing it, and say, okay, what is the next step with the brand?
So, going back 10 years in time, you did your internship at 15, got hooked, wanted to be a designer. You've been designing, industrial designing, computers, printers, I read, for 15 years. Maybe you want to elaborate on that. What happened? You're 40, you have a midlife crisis,
No.
you decide not only to start making watches, but you
Yes.
made the most difficult decision ever, just customized pieces.
Yes.
And just touch upon who Ludovic Sartory is and why we don't see him anymore.
So the first question. So Ludovic Sartori is a friend, and when we were just before 40, like 39 years ago, so 11 years ago, we were having dinner at my place, where with the wives and small kids at the time. And Ludovic said, "Oh, we are turning 40. We are both from 75. Why don't you design a watch instead of buying one?" And I say, "Okay, why not?" So I design a watch, talk with my accountant, say, "Oh, we could make this." Say like, "Oh, just make a company in France. Making a company is very easy. Make a company so you can make your watch. Maybe you can sell them. If it's worth it, you keep the company. If it's not, you closing the company, easy as it is." So I'm making the company. We call it like Mr. Sartory, Mr. Billard, Sartory Billard, done deal, go. We make the watch for ourselves. Of course, we have a little bit more because we produce them in France, and we have 10 cases and 10 movements and stuff like this. I have a watchmaker in Paris that has some the watch, and we're selling them. I even sell a little bit more than this. And then I say, oh, that could be a good adventure. Watches are very, very cool, not only to buy, but also to make. And it's a design job. And at the same time, I sold my design agency to a consultancy firm. So I had the possibility to switch job, I would say, from being a design consultancy owner to a watch designer. I got help along the way with some watchmakers, some prototypists, some part makers, and then it goes after. And it's only after 2 years that I was still, finishing to sell. And when you sell a business, you usually stay 2 years in the company to ensure that the selling out is good. So during this 2 years period, I would make the first SB01 and SB02, and then understood very, very quickly that something that I loved even more than only making watches is to talk with the customers and to make a watch that is very unique for them. And for me, that was a very good challenge, because I've been doing um, 15 solid years of design that was only a production of uh, PowerPoint file, Photoshop files, 3D files, this kind of stuff, but not really producing anything. And I said, like, it's time to balance something in my life. I want to produce things. I want to be able to do something with my hands that will be an object, and put myself into this crazy idea of making watches. And I'm very good or very stupid to say yes before I even know if it's possible. You told about like people that inspire you, so I said like maybe not, but there is one that I read a sentence and I said, oh, this guy is really, I'm thinking in the same way. This is Richard Branson. And what he said is that he had like, I don't know, many businesses, he said, but he said like, there is one thing that I always did. It's when a customer would say, could you make that? He said, yes, of course I can. And then you find how you're going to make it. But if you don't catch the ball and say, yes, of course I can, there is no way that by yourself you would put yourself in a position to make a watch or a company or whatever. So, but at the same time, this is a very risky position, because at the very beginning when you start, yes, I can do that. Maybe you just can't, absolutely. But there is always, the more you work, the more things that you are going to learn, and the more flexible and adaptable you will be able to create things that you haven't done before, if it make any sense. But you can face immense challenging. I have one on my desk, like for the last week. It's a dial entirely made with a black 3 or Musu black paint. It's a black color that absorbs 99.9% of the light.
Mm-hmm.
And it is for me like a little bit of a challenge, because it is a paint that is a little bit velvety, I would say. But in order to the paint to keep it as a spec and get all the light absorbed, you really mustn't touch the paint or touch the dial. If you're doing a polished titanium dial, you don't want to touch the dial to a certain extent, because if you touch it a little bit too strong, you will scratch it. So, for example, a Q-tip will scratch titanium dial. But if you use the good tools and the good cleaning, very, very soft parts, you can clean a titanium dial. That is fine. But with this Musu black dial, it's so matte and so velvety that if I touch the dial with anything, it leaves like a whitish mark on the dial. And there are many, many steps between just producing the dial, then you have the logo, then you have the indices, then you have the hands, and then you have the cases and stuff like this. For now, I'm halfway. It's okay, but I don't know, because if I have to put the hands, and sometimes you would put the hand on the dial and then from the dial to the this kind of process, it can't touch anything. So this one challenge is a little bit of a headache.
So this begs the question: how much is done in-house? You showed up your beautiful atelier. You've been mentioning stuff you do with the tobacco leaf, with the black paint. So how much is done in-house, and how much do you outsource?
So I outsource the cases, parts of the hands, and the straps, obviously. I would do for the SB04E range all the dies, all the assembly in-house. By I mean in-house is either here in Moselle in France or in the workshop that I have in Switzerland. I do have a workshop in Sainte Croix where I can make other parts, and then I have also suppliers that will make all parts of this. For example, I'm a very lousy painter. I'm doing this black Mozu stuff paint here because even having the dial into a pocket or in even a box traveling, the dial is going to be damaged because nothing must touch. So this kind of painting, this kind of stuff I would do in-house, but I would certainly have a subcontractor for the painting of the dials. This is their job, and they have all the Pantones, and I don't want to spend my life mixing paints to have like the blue reference, like, I don't know, 23, 24B. So this is done outside. So it's a very big mix. I would do probably here that everything that is unreasonable or unexpected or bizarre, I would do all the assembly here for all the SB04E range, definitely. The SB05 range and the Tourbillon is assembled in Switzerland by watchmakers that are highly trained. They have all the diplomas and stuff. It's not that the diploma allows you to touch a watch, but if you want to make a tourbillon, you need probably to have a formal training that you understood. I didn't have any formal, not even 1 day of training in watchmaking. So there are people much.
Did you accumulate watchmaking skills yourself?
Yes. You starting? I mean, the day I started Sartory Billard, I remember the days that I didn't even know how you put a set of hands on a watch. Honestly, you're right. I'm going to make watches. How do you make a watch? I don't know. That was really like this.
Amazing. Armand, I'm noticing I have so many questions. I hogged this show. I see we're at 1 hour. We have a lot of questions. Let's do one or two, and then promise to come back together on the show. What do you think?
I am fine.
Okay, so Rocky on YouTube asked, love the customization possibilities. This stays as a core of the business, he asks, because at Ace, he sees we have the core range.
Yeah, yeah. I would say like probably my ambition is to in the next years to ramp up my production or the number of watches that I deliver per year, having watches made from the core collection, but also having the customization. And I strongly believe in the fact that retailers like Ace will be able to prone the fact that for the distinguished collectors and special customers up there to say, guys, you can buy a watch, enjoy the watch, but the next step for you is to have something that is very truly unique for you.
So, what's the process? They would come in, we would do the preliminary work with our customers, then in a triangle with you get a quotation. What's the lead time on average, depending on
Uh,
how crazy it is?
Lead time on the bespoke watch can be anywhere between 4 months to maybe 8, 9.
Okay, amazing. I hope that answers your question, Rocky. I'm looking forward to welcoming you because I have a feeling you were inclined to make one. One question we've got sent in: will you make a chronograph?
Uh, Probably one day. I don't know. I really don't know when down the way because I have the project first of all by 2026 to bring in my own movement in the range.
Mhm.
So that will be another step to have my own movement. Would that be small second, automatic, or jumping hour, this kind of stuff? So maybe one day a chronograph. It will implies to buy some movements. I don't say no, but I don't know when down the road.
I understand. Okay, so thank you so much. I know you need to run. I want to thank all our dear viewers as well. I want to thank you, Armand,
Thank you
for
very much, Alon.
trusting us, for the partnership. I can't wait to get my watch and to show it to our dear customers.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day and see you very and congratulations for the new boutique. It looks
Merci.
absolutely amazing. So
Hope to welcome you there.
yeah,
Thank you, everyone.
have a nice day. Bye bye.
Bye, Armand. Merci.